everybody. Welcome on into Sports Talk with Bros. I'm sure that's exactly how the Phillies thought that one was going to go. The young kid stepping up. Bryson Stott, I thought he was going to have a walk-off, which I would have lost my damn mind. And I'm proud of Nick Maton and the single that he had, and maybe he was surprised he saw a certain pitch but took it for a ride anyway. I much would have rather seen Stotty too, Hottie, be electric in that ballpark with a bomb, but unfortunately, it hit the top of the, right where that fence at the top of right field meets with the top of the wall. I don't care how they get it done. I just care that they did. It would have been a nightmare to see them fall. And there were a lot of reasons why we probably did feel like this was going to go south. Whether it was Alvarado before he got out of that jam, which there's nothing sweeter than a Jose Alvarado look up, scream up at the top of his lungs. That gets Citizens Bank Park rolling, even if there's only 19,000 or 20,000. That's clearly been the case over the last few nights, and I don't know why. I think that there's a lot of variables, whether it's kids going back to school, whether there's families that are willing to go, but they want to choose a New York Mets series or choose another game, knowing that the ticket prices are expensive. Hey, I don't want to see the Cincinnati Reds. I think that the Mets series did grab a bit of the pulse with some fans, and it's kind of like, all right, it's deflating, and it was a tough loss. There's probably 80 different things that we could package up into why that is the case. I don't think it's a cool spot to go anymore. It feels very Ocean City, and let's have some fun and crush beers like maybe it was during the early 2000s, mid-2000s, the 2006, 7, 8, 9, that type of deal. But I digress. I don't know how I got sidetracked into that. I still want to experience this puppy and excitement, but there were some things that confused me for sure. Suarez walking a few guys and Matt Vierling not making the play at the center field wall where he jumps and it hits the edge of his glove and he can't make the catch. He did hit a home run of his own, which in a tight ball game, and when the Reds fight back, when Sosa can't get his throws where they need to get to. And, Rhys Hoskins should be able to pick that over at first base. A major league first baseman. That's a blindfold type of pick in my eyes. But still, Sosa's here for one reason. His defense. Sosa was brought in right before the trade deadline by Dave Dombrowski for one job. And that was unacceptable. So for the fans that changed Brad Hand's Wikipedia page as soon as the save was blown, I'm more pissed off at what happened over at shortstop more than anything else, because that play needs to be able to be executed. And you took advantage of a Reds team that's throwing the baseball all over the diamond. Good base running, heads up base running by Gene Segura, by Bryson Stott. We saw JT Realmuto and the way he was running around the bases when I believe it was that sixth inning. It was boom, JT. Nick Castellanos that helped out tremendously. So, yeah, the Reds stink, and you don't want to be losing your mind just because they beat a horrific Cincinnati Reds team, but the alternative is they lose. You get a gut punch against this squad, or you can start out 2-0 against them. After Syndergaard had a nice effort, after Stott and Castellanos show their power in that first game, like, this is the best of the two options. So I'll take it and I'll run. And the fact that, how many times have we mentioned Alec Boehm or Kyle Schwarber in their respected months? Bryce Harper, his respected season. And by the way, this dude's now walking a few times and hitting home runs. Opposite field, his first at-bat, he scorches one. He's ready. Now, here's a quote, though, that Matt Gell put out afterwards. This is Bryce Harper speaking. "We're going to take it one day at a time. Understanding tonight was great, right? But at the same time, I need the at-bats. I need to be able to see pitches, see different guys, different angles, understanding how my body's going to react. What's my thumb going to be like, and just go from there." Yeah, that's a good point that, it's awesome that he was able to do what he did, but what does tomorrow feel like? Is it stiff? Is there fatigue? Are there cramps? Does it all hurt him? Some throbbing? It feels tight. It's not as easy as, all right, he's good, even though it is. It's not. It is, but it's not. He could play tomorrow. I guarantee it. He could play tomorrow. But if he wants to get his ABs, all right, just get out there as quick as possible. He seems hungry. He seems ready. You couldn't have asked for a better stretch without him out of everybody else. And I wanted to bring up when I was talking about Schwarber and Alec Boehm and Bryce Harper, this is ridiculous that Stott's ready for these type of moments. I mean, for real. You want to go back to the Atlanta Braves game where he showed up big time? Game 1 of this series. That home run he hit was so ridiculous. I mean, that ball was crushed. I didn't know he had that in him. Not that. And when he gets a groove of one, and there was all these reports about him and Gene Segura working together to fine-tune some of the details in his swing and fine-tune some of the ways he approaches certain at-bats with certain strikes on him. It's crazy. The dude absorbs so much information. Ironically enough, Tyrese Maxey was on the broadcast today, and it's possible that no one knew about it. Like, he just went there. That's how awesome this kid is. But we know why we're obsessed with him, because he's obsessed with the game. And he soaks in everything that he gets from Joel Embiid, from Doc Rivers, all this knowledge. Bryson Stott is our baseball version of Tyrese Maxey. Where he once was this year, which was down in the minors and getting sent down to clutch. We just watched Derek Hall watch one go right by him with the game on the line. Now, to be fair, I don't know who Derek Hall is, and that's a big spot. But I bet you Bryson Stott would have seen it a little bit different. And you strike out more than you succeed in this game, no doubt about it. But I was wondering, as soon as I saw Stott again today, I'm thinking, man, there's something about the genes, the makeup of a larger spot. All right, it's late. The team needs me. The fellas have to have me. Not everyone can grow into that or have it already inside of them. The guys who have it have it. Now, you might have to learn how to use it and learn how to get comfortable when the pressure's on. The adrenaline's kicking in a little bit. I'm sure you feel it. You got to learn how to work that and properly assess it to calm it down and just take a deep breath. You're a human. Feelings are real. But as you keep getting your chance after chance after chance, it just becomes second nature. And with Stott, I mean, the kid is ridiculous right now. We had, what was it, Plasmeyer? Who the hell is that? Who the hell is this guy? And he comes in with a big shot to get out of it. And he gets a big K. Who? Plasmeyer? Was that it? In what world? There were so many times I said, in what world, throughout this entire game. But they won it, baby. They won it. And that's all that matters. So, youth. It seems to be rubbing off on everybody else since the moment Rob Thompson realized that we need them. There's something to it. They make everybody else play a bit different because it's not only are they young and they're here, and then they're raking. They're coming up large. They're not failing. I think Nick Maton should be out there over the Zimmers of the world. I do. Now, if we're fighting about Zimmer or Nick Maton or whatnot, or Veerling or whatever it is, I mean, I'm talking about a makeshift outfield whenever Schwarber DH'd or you had Castellanos DH and Munoz in. I think there's something to Maton. You can't overplay role players, and if that's a fear, all right. But, I mean, if, we're talking Munoz and Zimmer, I'll take my chances on Nick Maton. Even though he's not a real left fielder, we saw when he first got his chance because they were desperate and they didn't have any bodies, But no one else is blowing me away. I think there's more in his offense than those other guys. I'll take my chances, at least for now. I was surprised, though, by Ranger Suarez and his poor day once he got to the sixth. This team in general, though, they looked flat. They couldn't get any hits going until they finally did. I mean, Ranger had to deal with the leadoff double, got out of it. But does that bases loaded happen the way that it does with those walks if a play in center field was just caught? So the sloppiness is starting to show its ugly head again. I think we can all agree on that. Maybe Keith Hernandez was right in some areas. You know, you hate to admit that. You hate to say that publicly, but it is a chance. We did get some news in regards to the pitching staff. Seranthony Dominguez, no structural damage. Whew, I definitely had the worst thought in my mind. I was thinking worst case scenario because seriously, I mean, a dude with the track record that he has claims that something feels tight and it doesn't feel right and they're getting MRI. Why would you feel optimistic about that? I was sort of playing the whole game of I'll feel better once I am proven that there is a reason to feel that type of way. I'll take that, though. And then Christopher Sanchez is pitching Wednesday. This is what that tells me. And Rob Thompson isn't dumb. We're all not dumb. We saw what happened against the Mets. Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, they didn't look right. And specifically Zach Wheeler, twice against that team. I was stunned to see it. I didn't think it would happen. It happened. Get him more rest. So is this a, whew, I hate that we have to do this, but we have to do it. Or is this we would have done it anyway because the Reds stink and we think we can squeeze by with the Sanchez? The last time we doubted this, Bailey Falter pitched the best. It's the second time I screwed up today. Now, probably the 80th time I screwed up today in totality. But within the last 12 minutes, I don't know what the hell is spewing out of my mouth. Bailey Falter pitched the best out of the last four guys that got the pitch against the New York Mets. So what if he gives you 5? What if he gives you 6? This bullpen is getting tired. Hopefully, the thought of giving this starting rotation an extra day would then bleed into them pitching extremely well, them able to go one extra inning, so 7 innings instead of 6, which would then give somebody in the pen a rest. But, of course, Christopher Sanchez and maybe a Nick Nelson or somebody else packaged together can get far enough to satisfy us where this all pays at the end, and you get the result that you're looking for at the end. The last time Rob Thompson looked ahead, it was pretty recently with Sam Coonrod. Sam Coonrod was needed in Game 1 to help close the door. So I couldn't believe Schwarber, though. He had 3 punchies. Well, he had 4 total, but 3 of them going down on pitches that were out of the strike zone. His 3rd strikeout, maybe the ball was close enough where the tip, it hit the bottom of the strike zone, so you could live with that one. But, man, tough day at the office, and you could see the frustration in Kyle Schwarber's body language as the game continued to play out. I do have to get to Syndergaard. So he went 7 innings, 1 earned run, 2 walked batters, 89 pitches, barely any swing and misses, a lot of sinkers, getting ground balls, not afraid to pitch to contact, and maybe this is who Noah Syndergaard needs to be at this point in his career. And if that's the case, fine. My question becomes, will that work against better offenses? Because part of the reason why the pitcher struggled against the Mets is they wear you down. Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, Nimmo, Starling Marte. I mean, it gets tough when they're in the batter's box. They're fouling pitches off, 2 strike counts. They're making it an 8-pitch at-bat, a 9-pitch at-bat. Pitch count rises. You're at 100-plus pitches before you would even like to be there. And then, now you're getting to your pen that gets tired out by day 3, by day 4, and then factor in all the injuries. Of course, you were where you were by game 4 in the later stages of the game where you couldn't pull it out, right? Will that be beneficial, how he's pitching to contact, if you're seeing a more potent lineup? I don't know the answer. Maybe the answer is yes. I'm not saying it's definitely no. I'm just trying to figure it out. But I am a little pissed off with the Noah Syndergaard thing. I think he dipped the Mets. This isn't the first time that's been up in the air, a question. I think he dipped the Mets. Hearing Rob Thompson claim that he fought Rob very hard to pitch against the Mets, but they thought it would be the best for the franchise. No. See, the reason why Rob had to go out of his way to make that public is because it didn't happen. Watch this. Let's play a PR move. Let's sell the fan base something that's nonsense because they'd like to hear that. They want to know that he wanted to be out there, but he didn't want to be out there. There's something about about dodging that team that it concerns me, because when they were in New York and Queens, the New York media caught up with them, and he said, look, I didn't want to get my whole entire arm back and having to rework that in the New York media market. I wanted to go out west where I can kind of do it in quiet. All right. Well, what's the mental makeup of this dude? Now, if he pitches fine the rest of the way, so be it. I'm not doubting that he can, but I am doubting that he's not the same Thor mentally as he once was. Now, if he's not the same physically, maybe confidence plays a role. But you can't be dodging teams now. He was brought in here to eat innings and be a late starter in your rotation that probably wouldn't see a starting spot in the playoffs. So if that's what his role is, and his name wasn't Noah Syndergaard and it was something else, Kyle Gibson 2.0, would we accept that more because of maybe not knowing that individual once was as highly talented as Noah Syndergaard was, if all that makes sense? I do have some text messages on the Anytime hotline, and I will read a few of them here. Chris wants to know, how do I rate the first win in this series since they just got creamed by the Mets, and factor in the second one as well? I mean, I'm going to. That was Chris who sent this text message, happened to be from last night, just after the first 4-1 victory. But how do these games rank? It's definitely hard. I'm not convincing anyone that I'm just as up as I was against the Mets. I'm not as emotionally high on the list right now, but that's what happens. And that happens all the time in basketball, where if the Sixers play the Miami Heat, the Milwaukee Bucks, and then they play the Boston Celtics in a 3-game stretch, and that's followed up by the Orlando Magic, and let's say, what's another bad team in there? I don't know. I mean, I guess the Cleveland Cavaliers, even though they have an exciting Garland. I'm just saying, you go from the top tier in the Eastern Conference to playing some bum-ass squads that have nobody on them that suck. The Indiana Pacers, whatever, just bad teams. Well, of course, it's not a TNT game at 8 o'clock where you're on your toes. You're on your toes, and, you're ready to do a broad jump because Joel Embiid hit a game-winning shot and dropped 48 on Jason Tatum and Marcus Smart. So this is that. This is equivalent to that. But you still got to grind through, and you still have to win. And they did win. So how does it rank after the cream? Yeah, they got creamed. I'd say if the Mets series, the intensity was about 10 for us, this is probably a 6, a 6.5. I just saw news that the Padres with Juan Soto keep with a close eye what's happening possibly physically there. I picked Fernando Tatis Jr. for my fantasy baseball league, thinking at some point he'd come back and help me out, but I've just been getting annihilated. First season going through fantasy baseball, and my honest opinion, it's way too much. I don't want to deal with every day. I don't want to deal with that. Fantasy football is the best. So I became the one guy that barely checks anymore. That's for sure. Alvarado's being talked about a lot over here on the side. And yeah, Alvarado was crazy. The fact that he could bounce back in the same inning, I never thought Alvarado had that in him. I thought he'd always just to be a guy where it's either he's sharp and he's on and it's going to be solid, or, okay, it's an ugly one. And there'll be some walks and he'll get into some trouble and a ball might get crushed. And it's it. It's one of the two. But the fact that he can handle that adversity, I'm sure Rob Thompson puts that in the back of his mind and locks it up, because there might have been times earlier in Jose Alvarado's career where, hey, you're done. That's a quick trigger. It's not it. Sorry, dude. You had your chance, but you didn't execute. So we're going elsewhere. Now maybe they give him a little more room. Maybe that's a bad thing, though. Maybe this was the outlier compared to the legitimacy of who he is. But to this point, he's been really good. And that cutter has been an effective piece of everything that he does. So maybe he deserves the benefit of the doubt. I think that's possible. But yeah, just a crazy first 2 games. Castellanos. I think we have to start giving credit to Castellanos. Just like with Boehm earlier, not as much power as I would like, but big spots, getting RBIs. The home run swing that he did have was great through the zone. He's been hitting the ball harder, so that matters. I think it's turning around. I think it's happening. He's starting to look like there's more of an attitude with him. I've been grabbing at certain type of at-bats in certain games all season long, and they never really, got to what we want to. So maybe I need to give it up. But seriously, Nick Castellanos, the OPS is starting to drive up. He's definitely looking smoother. You can't run away from that. Will it reach the peak we need? Will it reach the peak of expectations? Probably not this year. But right now, at this point, I'll take anything. And especially if Bryce Harper returns, I don't think we're giving that enough of a look. That they lost arguably the best player in the entire National League. Like, we're just going to pretend that's not real? Because this team has still put together good wins? Maybe we should be crediting them more about all of their wins instead of crushing them for their losses, even without Bryce Harper. Because no one would have dreamed in a million years that they'd have the record they have right now with Bryce missing as much time as he has. Matthew texted in asking about Syndergaard and asked if he's going to be 3 in the rotation spot. I thought it was going to be a fight between Kyle Gibson and Ranger Suarez this whole way. If he makes a surprise where, they keep winning baseball games, and I'm sure they value veteran presence and versatility. Because you can use Ranger out of the pen in a tight spot if you need to in a playoff position, hypothetically. Can you do that with Syndergaard and Kyle Gibson? Suarez has more of that in his repertoire, I'd say. Do they value that into the equation? I think Ranger Suarez's upside is probably the best of them all, but he's not as long. His tenure of doing it isn't as long as the other guys. Do I see Syndergaard in a game 3 if it gets there, getting the ball? As of right now, no. If he proves that this low pitch count and these swings and misses, the lack thereof, isn't factoring into anything, and each start he keeps going, well, maybe Gibson has another hiccup and Ranger loses command. Is it possible? I'm not ruling anything out. I've seen bizarre things occur. Did you see how they just won this damn baseball game? It's all over the map. But if I was a betting man, I wouldn't bet my money on it. Let's just say that. All right, everybody, I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with me tonight. Appreciate it. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're looking to buy tickets for any event out there, use the promo code BRODES at SeatGeek, $20 off. It eliminates all the fees. It's a no-brainer. So thank